Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Hari.
And I'm Kimi. We're thrilled to have you with us today.
Today, we are metaphorically hitting a road to discuss a fascinating piece of infrastructure, Interstate 205, spanning Oregon and Washington. And Kimi, since we're covering a highway, I promise to steer clear of too many exhausting traffic buns.
I appreciate that, Hari. Let's just hope our listeners don't reroute to another show. But seriously, I-205 is anything but an average stretch of asphalt. It has a surprisingly dramatic history.
It really does. For those who might not be familiar, I-205 is an auxiliary interstate highway in the Portland metropolitan area. It essentially serves as a 37-mile bypass route of I-5, running along the east side of Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington.
Exactly. It connects to I-5 at both ends, down south in Tualatin, Oregon, and up north in Salmon Creek, Washington. In Oregon, it's officially designated as the Veterans Memorial Highway and East Portland Freeway number 64.
And what makes it unique right off the bat is its multimodal design. From Oregon City up to Vancouver, the highway corridor is actually paralleled by a multi-use bicycle and pedestrian trail, as well as portions of the MAX light rail system. It's a true modern transit corridor.
But getting it to that modern state was a massive struggle. To understand the origins of I-205, we have to go all the way back to 1943. Legendary New York-based planner Robert Moses authored the Portland Improvement Plan, which first envisioned a scenic thoroughfare bypassing Portland to the east.
That's a great lesser-known fact. Most people associate Robert Moses strictly with New York's parkways and bridges, but his influence reached all the way to the Pacific Northwest. By the 1950s, this eastern bypass was included in the federal government's preliminary plans for the interstate highway system.
And in 1958, the I-205 designation was officially assigned. The original plan from the Oregon state government was to route it east through Lake Oswego and close to the inner neighborhoods of Portland. It was going to be called the Laurelhurst Freeway.
If you know Portland today, ramming a freeway through Laurelhurst sounds unthinkable, and the residents of the 1960s agreed. In 1961 and 1962, the state presented alternatives that drew massive opposition. The Lake Oswego community and school district feared the freeway would literally isolate their schools from residential areas. The pushback was fierce. The Laurelhurst Community Council organized protests, fearing an influx of low-income development and the destruction of their neighborhood's character. In April 1963, the Lake Oswego City Council unanimously passed a resolution opposing any routing of I-205 through their city.
This kicked off a frantic search for a new route. The Oregon State Highway Department started proposing alignments further east. They looked at 111th Avenue and another along Division Street and Powell Boulevard. They even utilized a cutting-edge electronic computer system over a 4-year period to analyze the routes.
I love that detail. A 1960s computer churning data for 4 years just to tell them where to put the road. But even with the computer's recommendation, local governments kept fighting. Vancouver, Multnomah County, and local citizens all clashed over where this massive project should go.
Eventually, the state endorsed a route along 96th Avenue in 1964, which would cost about $90 million. But they hit a snag when a major flood in December 1964 destroyed several highways, delaying their submission to the Bureau of Public Roads.
And the clock was ticking. The Bureau of Public Roads imposed a deadline in 1965. Facing the loss of federal funds, the state pivoted to an all-or-nothing option, a new alignment that crossed the Willamette River south of Lake Oswego, between Oregon City and West Lynn, before heading north.
Which was brilliantly strategic, honestly. By pushing it just outside Portland's primary jurisdiction, they avoided the fiercest city opposition. The Portland City Council finally approved this West Lynn to 96th Avenue alignment in September 1965. The routing wars were finally over, but the construction chaos was just beginning.
Construction kicked off in 1967 with the George Abernethy Bridge over the Willamette River, and right away there was drama.
The pile driving and construction required closing a popular fishing site, which caused local sport fishers to protest. The state had to literally donate a nearby site for a new boat launch to calm things down.
And it wasn't just angry fishermen. The physical construction between Tualatin and West Lynn was brutal. It required blasting basalt cliffs for over a year. The excavation caused a series of landslides in 1969 near West Lynn.
That landslide incident is wild. It severely damaged West Lynn's city reservoir, destroyed 3 homes, and caused months of water rationing. They actually had to replace the entire reservoir with state funding. Despite that disaster, the southern sections opened in the early 1970s, but up north in Portland, the delays continued. And this brings us to one of my favorite fun facts about I-205, the story of Maywood Park. Oh, this is incredible. In 1967, the neighborhood of Maywood Park officially incorporated as its own city, strictly to halt the construction of I-205 by filing a lawsuit against the state.
Talk about a grassroots rebellion. They fought it all the way to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court, but their final appeal was denied in 1976. However, they did win a compromise. The freeway was relocated from an elevated viaduct to a sunken trench. Sadly, 87 homes in the newly minted city still had to be demolished.
Around the same time, the Port of Portland threw a wrench in the plans. They wanted to extend the Portland International Airport runways, which interfered with the planned crossing over the Columbia River at Government Island. It delayed planning by 20 months and added $20 million to the cost before the runway expansion was eventually abandoned.
And we can't forget the environmental and community concerns within Multnomah County. The original design was a massive 8 to 10 lane behemoth. Local officials worried about noise and air pollution, especially near schools and the Rocky Butte Jail.
Anti-freeway groups like STOP, Sensible Transportation Options for People, filed complaints. The pressure was so intense that in 1974, Multnomah County actually voted to revoke its approval for the design,
which forced the Oregon Department of Transportation back to the drawing board. In late 1975, engineers conceived a brilliant compromise, a 6-lane freeway with a separated busway and a bicycle trail. This satisfied the county and city councils, and they finally approved construction.
That transitway decision shaped the modern layout of Portland's light rail. Though initially meant for buses, it was eventually adapted for the Max Red and Green lines we see today.
So construction in Portland and Vancouver finally ramped up. The Glenn L. Jackson Memorial Bridge, spanning the Columbia River, broke ground in 1977. It used post-tensioned segmental boxes, a construction method that was relatively new to the U.S. at the time, and opened in December 1982.
The final 6.6-mile section in Portland opened in March 1983. Interestingly, its completion was delayed by the Rocky Butte Jail. They had to wait for prisoners to be transferred to a new downtown jail, temporarily building high fences to mitigate air and noise pollution for the inmates.
Imagine being an inmate watching a massive interstate highway being built right outside your cell window. The old jail was finally demolished in 1984, paving the way for the remainder of the southern interchange with I-84.
By 1983, the total cost of I-205 was around $375 million, and it didn't take long for it to prove its worth. The new Glenn L. Jackson Bridge dramatically reduced traffic on the older Interstate Bridge on I-5. In fact, by 1996, the Jackson Bridge was carrying more traffic than the I-5 bridge. Let's look at some recent numbers. In 2018, average traffic volumes on the Oregon portion hit an astonishing 170,900 vehicles near Division Street on any given day. On the Washington side in 2019, the bridge itself carried about 160,000 daily vehicles.
That immense volume brings immense wear and tear. Over the years, ODOT and WSDOT have had to execute major upgrades, like replacing the expansion joints on the bridge in 2000 and installing RAP meters to manage the relentless congestion.
There have been numerous infill interchanges added too, like the one at Johnson Creek Boulevard and the major revamps at Sunnyside Road. And Washington State added complex braided ramps at the Mill Plain Boulevard and Northeast 18th Street interchanges.
Which brings us to the future of the corridor. ODOT has been planning a massive reconstruction in Clackamas County to add a third through lane in each direction and conduct seismic upgrades to the Abernethy Bridge.
Construction began in July 2022 and was supposed to last until 2028. Keyword there being supposed to. The original $700 million project was meant to be partially funded by variable tolling starting in 2024. As you can imagine, nobody likes tolls, and it drew intense public opposition.
To say the least, in May 2023, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek stepped in and deferred all toll collection until at least 2026 to allow a legislative subcommittee to review the plans. Due to that lost toll revenue, the second phase of the widening program was deferred indefinitely.
While previous estimates were higher, recent official estimates placed the cost of the bridge replacement and widening program at approximately $815 million. ODOT even announced in late 2023 that they would cancel plans to toll the Tualatin River Bridge entirely due to lack of funding.
It's a familiar echo of the past, isn't it? Just like the 1960s, funding debates, community opposition, and political maneuvering are dictating the shape of I-205.
History definitely rhymes. And looking ahead, there's the ongoing Interstate Bridge Replacement Program for I-5. The current proposal includes tolling both I-5 and I-205 to fund the new bridge and manage congesting. So the debates are far from over.
I-205 really is the backbone of the region's east side, from the multi-use trail right in the median of a massive river crossing to the integrated MAX lines. It's a testament to the power of community compromise and urban planning.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that every stretch of pavement we mindlessly commute on has a deeply human story behind it, of protests, exploded reservoirs, and shifting political landscapes. Well said, Hari. That wraps up our journey down Interstate 205. Thank you all so much for riding along with us today. We hope you enjoyed the trip as much as we did.
We will catch you on the next episode with another deep dive. Take care, everyone. This episode is based on the Wikipedia article Interstate 205, Oregon, Washington, which is available under the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike license. This podcast was crafted using artificial intelligence.